I don't know why you guys go out to the woods. I don't know why people go out to the woods. I've seen enough horror stories that I am not going out into the woods. I recently found your Oregon Spooky Stories playlist on TikTok, and I'd like to submit one of mine that I have. This story takes place in a couple different locations, but same type of entity. I've lived in Roseburg my entire life. Love the town, however, there are some dark things in the woods there. I have always been sensitive to spirits and other entities my entire life. Now, this story takes place in 2021. I was roughly 17 or 18 at the time. Myself and a couple of friends went up to the mountains, specifically the Caligans. Now, it was just a fun night, you know, as teenagers have. However, me and my friends kept getting this weird vibe. About an hour goes by after we started getting that vibe when my friend said she saw something kind of like a deer. She described it as a massive deer with bloody antlers and orange eyes. Now, my original thought was, okay, whatever, you're drunk. But that changed fast as her boyfriend came back from going to the restroom and he saw the same thing but said the air smelled rotten. Now, I'm not a very skeptical guy, but I definitely know our wildlife and forests. I say the deer was probably shedding its velvet, and the eyes probably looked orange because of our bonfire. The eye shine and the air probably smelled rotten because of a dead animal. They both disagreed. Now, there were 6 of us up there, and only 4 of us saw it. I can't speak for the other 2, as they left before they shared their experience. Eventually, we all left, and as we drove down the mountain on the road, we see the deer. My friend, she points to it and says, "That's what I saw, dude." And I wish it was just my imaginations, but those eyes were indeed bright orange. Cut to about a few hours later, my friends dropped me off near my home in Green. So I start walking back to my house, and I could swear on a Bible that the air smelled rotten the entire way home. To be honest, I don't know what we saw, nor do I want to, but that was weird. My friends and I don't talk about it at all. I know it scared my friend's boyfriend bad enough he hasn't been hunting since, which he used to be an avid hunter. I still go up there to the mountains where that thing was and haven't seen it since, but I have a lot more stories from over the years. OP, thank you so much for sending this in. I also love that you found my Oregon playlist. That is pretty old. It's from when I really first started this account. Majority of my playlists are now I just have a story time playlist so people can just watch it on, the automatic playlist where it just plays afterwards. You know what I'm trying to say? Because apparently I can't speak. Anyways, I cannot imagine being in this position. I, first of all, like I said, would not be in the woods. I would not be going out to the woods. I am not a very let's go out and do something person. I'm a very let's sit at home and cuddle my cat like I'm about to grab right now. So the fact that you were even out in the woods in the first place is a no-go for me. Oh, don't mind him. He has a skin condition, and we're working on meds to figure out how to fix what's happening here, but it's a work in progress, okay? I feel like seeing any type of animal in a way that you're not used to seeing them is scary in and of itself, but this seems demonic, and deers, especially things with antlers, are usually found in occult processy, if that makes sense. So this definitely could be something very paranormal, very shapeshiftery. It's giving bad vibes, and I would have definitely been like, no, actually, we need to leave. We need to be running right now, okay? I don't want to be here. I would not have been there. I do not let friends peer pressure me. Let me just put that out there. But it sounds like you guys are very outdoorsy people, that this is like a common thing that you guys would do. You see how itchy he is? It's so sad. So if it's like a common thing that you guys do, I mean, man, you would know more about it than I do, because this sounds demonic to me. I'm not here for it. You know what I mean? I would be fucking running for the hills, or out of them, I guess, in this case. So thank you so much, OP, for sending this in. I truly appreciate you. I will absolutely add this one to the Oregon playlist so everybody else can watch those. And I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day. Say goodbye, Crumb. Say goodbye, handsome man. Can you say goodbye? Yeah, we're gonna figure it out. It's just gonna take some time. I've only had him for about 2 months, and he is on medication, but we're doing an anti-anxiety, so hopefully that helps. And I think I'm gonna bring him to a different vet to get a second opinion on how we should treat him, because he does self-mutilate, unfortunately, just because his skin is so itchy, and I think he's used to it because he was a stray and he's 3 years old. So we'll figure it out, and I'll give you guys updates. But I love you guys, and I hope you have a great night. Imagine being in customer service and one of your customers jumps on your desk and starts crawling at you saying that something is going to get you. I have been very hesitant to send in my paranormal experience, but I have been watching your videos and have felt like maybe if I let it out, I'll feel a slight weight taken off my shoulders. I work for a bank and I am a banker, which means I sit down with customers and discuss all the financial aspects of their accounts. I had an older customer and her daughter come in to add a power of attorney over the accounts. The mother at first was very friendly and pleasant, but had a weird smile, one that gave me chills up my spine. Once we sat down, we began discussing things and how they wanted to have the account set up based on the documents they provided. A few minutes into our conversation, the mom looks at me and says, "You're her." I looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't understand." Her daughter jumps in and says, "Mom, not now. This is very important and we need to get it done." She then proceeds to tell me that her mom sometimes has these episodes and that there is nothing to worry about. I had a very uneasy feeling but continued to do my job as fast as possible until the lady stops me again and says, "Oh, he's been waiting for you. It's almost time." I excused myself politely and went over to my manager and told him I was overwhelmed and felt like I couldn't continue helping my customers. He understood and told me that it was too late to stop the process since I was practically close to being complete. He did offer to sit with me and make sure nothing else happened. Here is where things went a little wild. My boss came and introduced himself and informed the customers he would be assisting me. The lady said, "It's fine, you can be here, but he only wants her." My chest started to feel heavy and I began to say a prayer in my head. As soon as I started praying, this lady flips out and got onto my desk and crawled towards me. I got up and my manager got in front of me. Okay, stop. Pause right there. The way that you kept your professionalism is absolutely astonishing because I could not. Someone comes at me, oh, I'm coming right back. Do you know what I mean? Also, the crawling, what is she, possessed? The daughter was doing her best to get her mom off the desk and was apologizing profusely. The lady was looking straight at me and said, "You can run, but you can't hide. He wants you and he's going to have you. He's always with you." I am not a super religious person, but I am a believer of God. That day, I was sent home early and given a few days off fully paid by the company without having to use my PTO. I got home and explained to my husband everything that happened, and that same evening, our TV turned off in the middle of a movie and the electricity was super weird. The energy in our home shifted and it felt extremely heavy. I called my mom right away and she came over. While my mom was doing a cleansing of our home, my cat started to hiss at something and they stood in front of our two boys in a protective stance. My mom began reading from the Bible and telling whatever was in our home it was not welcome and to leave in the name of Jesus Christ. After a few minutes, the house fell quiet and not as heavy. My mom said she would call a priest for us to come do a full cleansing of our home. That night, I couldn't sleep. I was exhausted and scared. We all slept together in one room and left my candles on along with my Bible open. The next day, my home was blessed by a priest, and it finally felt more like my home. This just happened on February 2nd, and I haven't quite felt the same since. I hope that whatever was in my home or attached to me goes away. Now I say a prayer when I wake up and right before I go to bed. This experience hasn't felt real, but almost like a nightmare that just wants to keep lingering. Firstly, OP, thank you so much for sending this in. I hope that this lifted a weight off of your shoulders. I will absolutely keep you anonymous. I know you mentioned that in the beginning of the story. If someone doesn't give me permission to read their handle or read their name, I'm not going to do it. If someone gives me permission after the fact, I can always edit the video caption to add their handle, but I can't just insert something into the video. It doesn't work that way. With that being said, if you do want your name included in your stories, you have to let me know. Or if you want me to change the names or just read like the beginning letter of people's names as reference to whomever is in the story, let me know. I am happy to do that. I want to know what the fuck is wrong with this person. It seems like the daughter was well aware of what's going on. It also seems like maybe the mom is possessed by something and they're chalking this up to be dementia. A lot of people are not religious. A lot of people do not believe in the paranormal. And a lot of people will say until until they die, that something is strictly medical. I do not believe that. I don't believe that. This sounds like something out of like one of the Conjuring remake movies where the kid is like possessed and in a mental hospital and they're like, oh, it's schizophrenia. No, this is extreme. I understand that the person has to be there for a power of attorney, especially when you're going to a bank, but there are other ways to go about it. And if you know that the person that you're claiming power of attorney over is capable of doing something like this, they absolutely should not be allowed to be out in the public with things like this happening. That's for starters. You're, like I said earlier, you're better than I am. You are better than I am, because I don't give a fuck where I am, who I'm with. If someone comes at me, especially crawling and saying some wicked shit, I'm swinging, guys. Like, I don't know how else to put that out there for y'all, but I don't know. I'm not the one. You know what I mean? I have said that I'll fight ghosts before. That goes the same for people that are possessed. I'm sorry. Okay? But when it comes down to me or you, I'm choosing me. You know what I mean? You are so much better than I am. You kept your professionalism, which babe, I applaud you for, okay? Because I could not have extended any grace towards this person for what she did. I think the only instance to where I would not is if I was just in complete and utter shock. To me, it sounds like, especially being in a bank, and I have a friend that is a banker and works at a bank, so I completely understand the type of professionalism that you all have to maintain. And while I can maintain professionalism, I can also maintain that my safety was in danger at that moment. Therefore, I reacted in a way that is protective and defensive of myself. This is, I mean, everything's on camera at banks too. Like, it's not like you wouldn't have had a defense. Do you know what I mean? I can't justify someone coming at you for any reason. Let alone saying some creepy ass shit like he's gonna get ya. It's a no for me, you know? Where's Judge Judy? I need her to throw down the gavel. I'm already someone that doesn't like to be approached in general. Like, if someone who knows me from high school, and I've said this before, were to walk up to me in Wally World, I'm gonna literally look straight through them. I am here on a mission. Get in, get out. Don't talk to anyone. Like, unless you're my mom, my dad, or my best friend, chances are I'm not stopping. You know what I mean? I will pretend like you are not real. Like, you're a hallucination because I'm not stopping. So you're better than I am 110%, because I would have absolutely reacted in a way that could be, you know, presented as a defense in open court. I really hope that this was able to relieve some of that heavy energy on your shoulders. I'm really glad that you called your mom and that she was able to cleanse that night. I'm glad that she called the priest. And I really hope that whatever this is has gone away. This was a very fresh, open wound, because it's only April and this was back in February, girl. Like, that's only 2.5 months. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty insane in the membrane, you know? Couldn't be me. So I really hope that you are feeling some relief to that. Definitely get some protection stones. Definitely keep some sage with you. It sends shivers down my spine reading it. You know what I mean? Like, it's very creepy and very weird. I don't like that this happened to you, like, at all. This is very alarming. I love you. Thank you for sending this in. If you ever need to message me, please feel free. I do my best to respond. Messages get lost sometimes though, but I will absolutely be there for you as much as I can. And I hope you guys have a great day. I love you. Bye. You know when people find things in the woods and they videotape it and post it on TikTok and you're like, don't touch it, put it back, leave it, don't do anything with it, but they still do something with it? That's one of these stories. I had been living in an apartment for most of my life with my parents. We decided to move a couple of years ago right after COVID into our new neighborhood in Los Angeles, California. Nothing really weird was happening for the first 2 years that we were in this house. But after that, my parents and I started to notice weird things happening, such as our car windows breaking out of nowhere or our tires going flat. When we would take it to get it repaired, they say that there was nothing that could have caused it. It just popped out of nowhere, and this isn't like a 1 or 2 time occurrence. It's happened over 5 times. Our dogs were always barking at midnight, and we were just getting very bad luck. Like, my parents' business wasn't going very well at the time. We weren't doing well financially, but we've never really had a problem with money before. One day, while my brother and I were at school and my dad was at work, my mom was sitting around the house. She had this feeling the entire week that she should go into our little closet for our coats, which is directly in front of our front door, and get the vacuum out to clean the house with it. Mind you, she hasn't used this special water vacuum for almost a year. Keep in mind that we're Christians, and my mother is very religious. So, this voice in her head, she imagined, was God telling her to go and get that vacuum, use it to clean the house that week, and she was so confused by that. She didn't know what was going on, so she decided to go and get the vacuum. As she was getting the vacuum out, there was this little ball of yarn, but not really. It's kind of hard to explain. It was kind of long, and there were holes in it, shaped as a face, almost like 2 eyes, and then a frown. And when my mom looked closer, she kind of spread the thing around because it wasn't like the vacuum had trash in it, and that was just the leftover that the vacuum collected from our floor. It looked like it was handmade. It had around 8 or 9 colors of yarn, different colors, and then there was 2 other little balls of yarn hanging on the side of it like it was attached. We thought that this was a target to one of our parents, and the 2 other little ones that were hanging on it were me and my brother. Because what else would it be? And mind you, my mom has never went there, as in the direction to witchcraft. Like, her mind literally went to the idea that someone did this and that it was crafted towards one of my parents. She's never thought like that before. She never believed in stuff like that, so we knew that something was wrong because when we got home, we saw it on the counter. We all said the same thing, so my mom kept asking around. She didn't tell people that she thought they might have done it because there were people specifically out to get her. In a way, they were jealous of my parents or something that they had done or achieved. So my mom looked into it, like getting a priest to come to our house to cleanse it. But then we were talking to one of our friends, and they told my parents that they should go to a river close by, or it doesn't matter where, and throw it in there and maybe pray over it and walk away and don't look back. Because if the water isn't running, I guess somehow it's going to stick to you like witchcraft is going to stick to you. Something of that sort. Also, then a couple of months later, we found out that our neighbor might have had something to do with it. We don't know how, because one day we were just sitting in our living room and we get a Ring doorbell notification. My dad goes outside and it's some random lady. My dad starts questioning her like it was really random. And then she says, I've been sleeping in my car. I had a fight with my husband. I've been on and off with him. She's been living in her car on and off, and she knows some stuff about our neighbors. She just wanted to warn us. And we were like, this is so random. Why would you tell us that? Our neighbor is a father of, I think, around 3 kids, and the mother isn't in the picture, but we don't know why. This lady told us that he had something to do with her death and that he was very jealous of her. And when she was still alive, and when she passed away, he began to do witchcraft, all this crazy stuff. But we've never let this man into our house. We have never had contact with him during that time. And it was so weird because he didn't even seem like a guy to be that way. But I just wanted to share this story because it has been on my mind for a while, and I just wanted to tell you. Please keep me anonymous if you feel like you want to share this. Also, English is not my first language, so if I rambled or my grammar and wording is wrong, I'm sorry. OP, thank you so much for sending this in. I wish I could tell you guys prior to you sending in stories that you do not have to apologize for English not being your first language. I will get through it, I promise. This definitely reminds me of those TikToks when people like go out into the woods and they find a box that has a whole bunch of fucking wax all over it, like someone was trying to keep whatever it is in there, and they're like, let's open it, see what's inside. That's what this reminds me of, except it was in your home and it's not like she was actually searching for it. I don't believe in the same God, so I'll just put that there, but I definitely don't think that it was God telling her to go look in the closet. I think it was her intuition. I think it was her intuition telling her that something was wrong, especially if your mom is a stay-at-home mom. We feel things. We know when something is out of sorts, even if it is a new area, a new house, a new apartment, whatever you want to call it. We know when something is wrong. We can feel when something is wrong. And I feel like her intuition told her, hey, maybe the house needs to be specially cleaned with your water vacuum, and maybe you'll find something that you shouldn't find. It honestly sounds like someone made some type of doll and tried to curse it or something on you guys. I have never heard what your friend expressed, to go to a river or a lake or something, some type of body of water nearby and throw it over your shoulder. I've never heard of that, but that's not to say anything. I mean, at the end of the day, there's 1,000 things that I have never heard of. So you guys just keep educating me. So I definitely will look into it, but I just don't know that that would have fixed the problem, especially if this is like, voodoo doll related. I hate using that term, but if it's something in relation to that, then it's still gonna have the same effect. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, I love you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I hope you enjoyed this story. I am at home alone, so I'm taking advantage of this time. All right, I love you. Bye. Imagine being someone who can predict the literal future of certain aspects of life, including death. I've been experiencing unusual things for as long as I can remember. I grew up in Oman in a house with a U-shaped layout, a large play area, a small garden with 2 date palms, and on one side, our living quarters. There was also a well, a storeroom, and a separate guest unit with its own washroom. The layout matters for what I'm about to share. I've had many unsettling experiences, but I'll focus on one. From a very young age, whenever someone hurt me, something would happen to them. I never thought much of it until one incident. A classmate used to bully me constantly. One day, I lost my temper and said, "You should lose your father, then you'll understand." During the summer break that followed, her father passed away in a tragic accident, and she never returned to school. I told my parents, but they dismissed it. Then something similar happened again. Another classmate kept pulling my hair, and in frustration, I said they should break their arm. By the end of the day, they had. I was terrified, and I told my mother. She took me to a spiritual healer. He told her that 2 spirits were attached to me, one harmless, and another that had fallen in love with me and was harming anyone who hurt me. He asked if I had ever gone behind the well and storeroom to retrieve something. I had, once, to get my brother's football. He then recited verses and assured my mother it wouldn't harm anyone again. As I grew older, the experiences changed. I began having dreams or strong intuitions that later came true. Very specifically, my dad had told me not to tell anyone, so only my family knows this. I saw once an entire exam paper in a dream, and it matched exactly. I predicted my sister's results. She got an A+. I told my younger brother his exact GPA. I told my mother I had seen a relative pass away and her crying. Someone did pass away that very evening. I told my uncle he would have daughters. He now has 2. I told my brother he would have a daughter, and he does. Before I was even married, I told my sister I would have a son, even though I wanted a daughter, and I do now. I also told her that she would get married before finishing her 3rd year of university, which is now happening. The most recent incident was this morning. I dreamed I lost a gold earring while sitting with friends, and in that dream, I found it near a couch. When I woke up, one of my earrings was actually missing. I searched everywhere but couldn't find it. Then I remembered the dream, checked near the couch, and it was there, placed neatly. I was speechless. Later that morning, I picked up my phone to call my mother but accidentally opened Instagram instead. I saw your post and felt compelled to share this. I know this may not be the usual kind of paranormal story you cover, but it genuinely unsettles me, and I didn't know who else to tell. Thank you. OP, thank you so much for sending this in. This is absolutely up my alley, so no worries there. I hope that this was somewhat of a relief to get off your chest. It kind of sounds like this is something that's been weighing heavy on you, but it also, to me, it comes off as like you're a medium or a seer or someone who has just very strong-willed intuition. I did have to look up Oman. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I had no idea where it was, but it makes sense. It's right next to Yemen. And I think with the spiritual beliefs that are upheld within that region, that I would assume that it would be some sort of sightseer, someone who's able to predict things that others typically would not be able to predict. And although to many people these may seem like small things beyond the deaths that you've been able to predict and the harms, like knowing a GPA or knowing the grades, knowing that someone, knowing a test exam or finding an earring, those all might be like small things that people could
typically just say it's intuition. But knowing and saying out loud and speaking that someone should have their arm broken and then having that happen, it's the same idea that you control your own reality. You control your own ability for progress, positive mind, positive life. It's that type of aspect for me. And I think that this is really great because you have so much power to do so many good things. And I think obviously there was a lot to learn, and I think you definitely learned from it. But to me, this just seems like you. Sorry, my car was settling. This just seems like you are really able to set things in motion for more than just yourself. And I think that if you're comfortable, you should start saying these positive things that you wish to see happen and see how those things play out, because I would be interested to know whether or not what you're saying without reason, you know, are happening because of your emotions, such as the frustration and anger you felt while being bullied, or if these things are happening with so much intent. Do you know what I mean? So, if I were you, I'm stumbling over my words because I'm excited. If I were you, I would be saying things with so much positive and kind intent to the world and to myself, as far as my family, as far as my future, as far as my partners, as far as my friends, and seeing if those things come true all the same as the things that did when you were upset or angry or frustrated with a situation. Thank you again for sending this in. It is my birthday month. My birthday is May 21st. I actually share a birthday with Firuza Balk, which I am super excited about because we are weirdos over here, mister. And I can't say that I'm excited. I usually try to be excited for my birthday, but that's because I've had so many bad birthdays that I always told myself if I said it's like an exciting thing, then it would be. But I don't think that this year is going to be any different. Unfortunately, I think that it's just going to be another day that I get older, which is totally fine. I know that there will be a day when my birthday is very special. So I just look forward to when that day occurs. Anyways, I love you guys. I hope you're having a great day, and I will catch you in the next one. There's a lot of wasps out. My window's open. I'm scared. Bye.
Imagine meeting death, like actually visually seeing him before he comes, almost like the Grim Reaper. You know what I mean? My cousin and I are only a few months apart, and we went to elementary school together. After school, we would walk to my grandparents' house, which was maybe 5 or 6 homes down from the school. My grandparents' home sat up off the road on a small hill, with a driveway going up that we had to walk up. One afternoon in early June, we were walking up to the house and we see a man leaning on the fence right outside the TV room window. This man was solid black, no face, no features, just black with an old styled hat and what looks like a cape, kind of like what El Zorro used in the movie. My cousin and I run up the driveway. My grandma and mom are sitting outside on the porch, a few steps away from where we saw that shadow man, and we ask, "Who was that?" And we explain what we saw. My Hispanic grandmother says, "Cállate," translates to "shut up, you guys didn't see anything." My grandma was visibly upset and got emotional. She just said they are coming for her. I guess we were too young or naive to understand, but it happens that my aunt was in the TV room sleeping on the sofa right next to the window where we saw that thing. Unknowing to us, my aunt had recently been told that her cancer had spread and it was terminal. A few weeks to live. She passed within 3 days of us seeing that man. Now I understand what my grandmother meant. And now that I currently work in the medical field, I have seen that being again when someone is close to passing. OP, thank you so much for sending in this story. First of all, my condolences. I am very, very sorry to hear that your aunt passed. With that being said, this reminds me of Charmed. You guys know this is right where I'm going back to. You saw death. You saw what comes to take our souls after we leave. And I, for one, do believe that there is something out there that does come for you, whether it be good or bad. I don't believe that it is something that chooses good or bad. Oh no, hold on. Sorry, Crumb was trying to get to me, but I do believe that there is something out there that comes and guides you to wherever you're supposed to go. And I think that's what you saw. I mean, truly. But to circle back, in Charmed, there is death, and Prue sees him. Ultimately, Piper ends up seeing him. A few other characters end up seeing him. He is indifferent, and he is just there to collect the souls that are supposed to leave and follow the grand design. And for me, it's low key comforting to think that there is someone that's going to take us to where we're supposed to be, whether that's reincarnation, whether that's heaven or hell, whether that's, you know, otherworldly things, staying in the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it. I think that there's something comforting about that. And I love you guys. I hope you're having a great freaking stinking day. And I obviously will catch you in the next one. Again, OP, thank you so much. My condolences. Thank you for what you're doing with the healthcare system. And I hope you guys have a great night. Bye. When I lived in Escanaba, Michigan, I lived in a big pink Victorian home previously called the Pink Palace. It was built in 1892. I had my own room, but the house was so creepy, I slept with my mom. I remember one of the most significant experiences I had was on Christmas. My neighbors, two boys, were my best friends at the time. They were like 8 years old. My family invited them and their parents over for dinner. My playroom was the fourth floor, aka the attic. It was huge. We ran up the stairs and we were in the hallway, going to open the door to go to the fourth floor playroom. For some reason, my instincts told them to go first, so I let the boys go ahead of me and I looked back and saw a shadow man wearing what looked like an old-timey detective hat and a trench coat standing near the stairs. He walked towards the stairs and I screamed and ran up the stairs. The next morning, my cat, who lived in the basement, with the only accessible staircase being through the kitchen, which was connected to the staircase the ghost man was standing next to, died from bleeding profusely from his mouth out of nowhere. She also sent me a picture of the house, which I will insert. When I would sleep in my room alone, I slept with my great-grandmother's crucifix above my bed. I'd see and hear shadow people walk in the hallways outside of my door at night. One time, when sleeping in my mom's room, I woke up and I was probably around 8 or 9 years old. I looked in the mirror and saw this weird, staticky ball of energy in the reflection next to my bed. It was like gray and black. I put my glasses on to see if I was just seeing things, but it was still there with them on. I reached out and touched it, and it was significantly warm. Then I started hearing two voices whisper in what I assume was Latin. One very deep male voice and one presumably female voice. I asked what their name was, and they answered some weird name that sounded like it started with a Y sound, like how we say the word you. I asked them another question and it said no. Then I got up and left the room. As soon as I left the room, I was literally horrified. It was like I was feeling entranced and safe while in the room, but as soon as I left, I was horribly terrified. Another time, I was home with my grandma. Her and her grandpa had the master bathroom. I was in the bathroom with my grandma while she was blow drying her hair, and I was kinda at like the entrance of the bathroom. I saw a floating head that looked like it was almost made of water, like how invisible things look in movies, float behind her, and I was like, oh my god, Noni, did you see that? Since she was looking in the mirror, she didn't see it, and I was so confused. That's 1 out of 4 houses that were haunted. I have stories from many Michigan areas and Georgia and Belleville, Michigan too. One time, I was probably like 9 or 10. It was Christmas. I was obsessed with ghost hunters and ghost adventures, so my grandparents and my mom bought me ghost hunting gear like an EMF detector, a little voice reader, etc. The EMF detector went off in all the rooms that were the creepiest, off the charts, and we were all sitting in the family room and asking questions on tape. In the beginning of the recording, an unidentified woman's voice whispers, "Scary." It was none of us three, and we were all spooked. Suddenly the batteries drained, so we decided to charge the device. We plugged it into the laptop to upload the file, and the file was completely corrupted. Literally just like the file with the voice on it was corrupted. All other audio files were just fine. I think the Manistee and Georgia ones might have been scarier low-key, so let me know if you're interested in another little series of stories. And then she provided me the house address of the Michigan home. This is the Pink Palace. OP, thank you so much for sending in this story, and absolutely, I want all of them. I want all of the stories, always, forever, until I die, always, I want the stories. Thinking because this house is so old that it's very Victorian, there was probably a lot of deaths in the home. I know, especially when it comes down to Victorian, because modern medicine obviously was not a thing, there were a lot of natural deaths, but I'm thinking that a lot of these were not natural deaths. Just from the way that they presented themselves to you, it kind of feels like some of them were malicious, at least from my perspective, anyways. I can't really say without a doubt that these were malicious, but it kind of feels that way. I'm really curious though if you are a medium, because if you've been to multiple locations and had multiple interactions with different spirits or different entities, it kind of sounds to me like you're susceptible to that, and typically that means that you're some sort of medium, at least in my point of view. And I'm really curious to know why no one else in the home saw or heard or witnessed anything beyond the EMF reader. To me, that kind of just concludes that you kind of are a medium or potentially are a medium. I do know that you are someone whose friend sent in their story, so you wanted to send in yours, and I do love that, but I do think that maybe there's a little bit more spirituality going on here than you might realize, my dear. Am I filming this super late? Yes. Am I using my podcast room? Also, yes. Am I still very excited? Triple fucking yes. I am stoked. So I'm filming really late because I had a really busy day today, and then when I got home, Crumb had severely injured himself. I did recently bring him back to the vet to check up on his skin after the medication that they gave me. And myself and the vet agreed that we think that a lot of this is behavioral, since he was a stray prior to this. I think he just got used to kind of self-mutilating. Unfortunately, I think that the over grooming, the scratching, the biting, all of that was just kind of became a learned behavior for him. I know that the Humane Society that I got him from, they had him for probably like 9 months in total, and that was in between all the people who attempted to adopt him and didn't really believe the Humane Society about his skin condition. With that being said, I am very worried about his skin, and I'm very worried about what he's capable of doing, so I'm thinking about going and getting a second opinion with a different vet. Just so then that way I can ask them for certain things. Like, I wanted my vet to provide me with something like gabapentin, which can reduce the inflammation in his skin and can reduce the way that, sorry, Cash is distracting me right now. It can reduce the inflammation in his skin, and it can definitely help with the behavior aspect, as well as some type of anti-anxiety medication, preferably a quick working one, because at this point I'm really worried about his quality of life. So I think I'm going to bring him to someone that can give me a second opinion. Not that I don't love my vet, and not that I don't think that she's capable. I just really, really, really want faster results, and I feel like there's something more out there than what is currently being prescribed. With that being said, I love you guys. I am going to go upload a video to YouTube of compilations of my videos from the week. I'm doing that every Friday. It is still very late, but that's okay. He just got down. But that's okay. I don't have a problem with doing it later. I'm just really trying to boost that account, and I hope you guys had a fantastic day today. I love you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Do you hear the stomping? That's Cash. Hi, buddy. What are you doing? Okay. I love you guys. Bye.